Greetings, my name is Jace Hargis, and I would like to share a brief summary of mobile learning as we see it in here today, January of 2014, knowing quite well that a lot of these will change, but this gives us an up-to-date of where we are at this time. First of all, I think that we should try and avoid our mistakes of the recent and not so recent past. Underestimating the power of mobile learning by treating the device as a computer will minimize the impact of context and neglect the real-world connections. Also, we need to remember that mobile learning alone will not help deep thinking. We need active, collaborative, community. We need to build an environment that will contribute to this and have enthusiastic facilitators. This website shares 12 ideas for mobile learning implementation, and I'll just basically emphasize a few. The first attribute is the increase of accessibility. So this idea that we have open access of content, place, time, this greatly aligns the playing field for many of the learners. Secondly, the element of play. This is critical in the engagement process, especially with a play with purpose, allows for greater engagement and interaction. This approach actually also allows for a sense of this failed event and increased curiosity, which fosters learners' analytical ability to play with the variables and discovering the outcome, as well as modifying these to meet the game's goals. Key to this step of basically offering some of these mobile learning is a non-real-time participation, so this asynchronous environment where people can interact at their own time, their own place. This does change a historical paradigm of believing people should be ready to think in a sterile room at the same time with possibly the same distractions. Another really important idea is this idea of self-actualization. And this aligns well with what research has shown to be beneficial with learning, which encourages self-regulation and self-directed learning. The ability of curation, which is this idea of categorizing, sorting, analyzing, and making sense of information, is key to incorporate these concepts into one's own schema. And the fact that all of the learners when the learners are using mobile devices, that they are always on. They are doing things with those devices anyway, so we can capitalize on creating some authenticity by bringing in the context from where they happen to be at the time to create meaningful, authentic artifacts which can represent their understanding. This isn't an attempt to try to look at the future of learning. Obviously, it's very, very difficult to predict the future, and learning is no different. However, in reviewing the past, we can observe some potential trends. A current prevailing idea of the 21st century is this idea of 21st century learning, or the ability to learn through digital means. These attributes tend to be communication, ICT communication, creating, sharing, analyzing, some of the things that we know are definitely assets in the classroom as well as beyond. As we can see in this graphic, it wasn't very long ago when we had a very small amount of ability, this 250 megabyte hard drive, that now we can hold something much larger within our hand. What this does is create an environment for smaller and more portable devices that we can get to provide a broader sense of accessibility to these learning tools. In some basic statistics, approximately 71% of our primary school children now do their schoolwork from home internet access. About 40% actually own and carry with them some sort of smartphones, and about that number, 41%, or close to half now, have some sort of mobile devices. So we're moving towards both a critical mass and a critical momentum that can help us use these smaller, faster devices. Possibly more critical is this whole idea of adaptive or assistive learning that mobile devices have allowed us to do. which basically allows us to collate large amounts of data into useful learning analytics so that we can potentially see a student's trajectory and make readjustments along the way. So the big question really is, what can we do so that we can anticipate what these learners might be doing 10 years from now, working towards this uninvented job scheme. There's a nice website that shares some ideas, but basically, as you might imagine, some of the top jobs predicted would be cybersecurity, mobile app developers, engineers in the realm of simulations and robotics, obviously possibly some social media managers, as well as stem cell researchers. The goal here may not be as much to target a particular discipline, but to encourage what they kind of contact these transferable skills. And these would be things like analytical abilities, communication, and even some of the soft skills of social emotional competencies could be useful in the future. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope that this information was worthwhile. Again, everything is changing. We're just trying to keep up with it all together.